Welcome to the 20's. Dear viewers, we are here to share the stories of 20 brilliant Indians from across the world who are sharing their new definition of success. We will be meeting a very interesting young girl who has revolutionized the way things happen in the fintech company. Along with me, Dr. Nirmala Krishnan, we are presenting to you from Education News Network, Education Today TV, this particular interview where you will be meeting this young girl who moved out from India for her higher studies to University College London. After completing that, she realized that there is a huge gap in the fintech industry, and she revolutionizes the way forward for the small and medium house builders by putting up her entrepreneurial journey where she raises 1 million euros in equity for her company. And this is not at all a small feat anybody her age can imagine to do. So this particular interview is going to be an eye-opener. It is going to give hope, and it is going to bring out all the three elements of grit, hard work, and smart thinking through this interview. You are going to meet Arya Taware. So join me in welcoming her to this show. Welcome, Arya.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you again. I know it's a different time zone you're sitting in, and you have got a lot of things to do. And amongst all that, taking time out to come and inspire all those lovely teenagers and those aspiring to be entrepreneurs, come here and watch your show.
It's pleasure. It's all my pleasure.
Thank you. So for the audience to know, we are going to have 4 rounds in this discussion. The first round is about trying to understand what has been the journey of Arya from where she started and where she is and what she wants to achieve in future. The second part is we will be taking few questions, though there are many which have come from across the schools in India. We'll be taking few which Arya will be answering. The third part, we reverse our roles. Arya gets to gets to question me, and I get to answer one of her questions. And the fourth and the most exciting part of this particular discussion is the rapid fire, where Arya has to quickly answer the questions that we are going to ask her. So, are you ready, Arya, for this?
Absolutely.
Great. So, we start with the first one, that you you have been a person who has been the first generation from your hometown to go and establish yourself in a country abroad. So what has been your journey from a city in India to the United Kingdom?
Yes, I think when you say it out loud that I'm the first generation to settle abroad in London, it kind of feels nice. Thanks for that acknowledgement.
Yes.
So I was born and brought up in Pune, so Pune in Maharashtra, and basically I was there till the age of 17 and a half. I did my schooling there, and then for my undergraduation, I decided to go to London, and I studied urban planning and real estate at University College London for 4 years. And while I was studying, I was also doing internships. And while I was doing internships, that's where I saw the gap in the market regards to small and medium-sized house builders don't getting access to mainstream finance. And this gap was too big in the market. The problem was too big, and I believe that I have a solution for this. And basically, that's how Future Bricks was born. But yes, I'm pretty much was born and brought up in Pune, 17 and a half, came to London. I've been in London for last almost 10 years now. So yes, it's been a very extremely interesting journey.
Wow. A girl from a small town moves out and she is able to change a lot of things in the lives of people living there in London. Wow. That's a story that everybody aspires to, and they also get inspired by Arya. Thank you for that. And the next question to you is, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, my father, so he was the first generation of entrepreneurs. Because before that, all farmers, all came like previous entire generation came from this, small town, small village in Maharashtra. So he was kind of came out of that. He moved to Pune and he started his business. So, while we were growing up, there was a lot of books around us. And I was obsessed reading autobiographies and biographies of entrepreneurs from all over the world, and not just Indian entrepreneurs, but everywhere. And that was just my, one of my biggest pleasure and escapes. And because I thought, okay, here is an opportunity, here is a profession where you can create anything from scratch. You can put your ideas into, dreams, ideas into reality and make it happen. So that really fascinated me, the concept of entrepreneurship. And, like I said, my father was first generation entrepreneur. So even listening to his stories of struggle and how he moved and how he built his business. So that was always inspiring. So I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was an idea that was instilled from quite a young age.
Wow. So much of clarity right from the beginning that she wanted to be an entrepreneur. Wow. And who inspired you the most? Yes, we hear that your father was an entrepreneur and from there, but from among the books that you have read, who was that one person who inspired you the most?
So to give a very honest answer, I think I still read a lot of biographies like the recently everything I read from Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw to all the way like all Indian entrepreneurs that those are out there to Richard Branson to a more like local entrepreneurs here in London as well. And what so I don't have one inspiration as such because every entrepreneur's journey is so different. Not one entrepreneur journey can be the same. However, having said that, currently my favorite entrepreneur is Jennifer Hyman. She's a founder and CEO of Rent the Runway. And the reason I'm such a big fan of her is just she just proved it that you can have it all. You can start young, as a woman, and and she's just breaking every ceiling that's out there. She started the Rent the Runway as a fashion rentable, but then it's actually become a logistic business. And it just the journey is quite extraordinary. So she's my current favorite right now.
That is one point I feel that the audience will be interested to know more about is being a female entrepreneur, right? So what has been very challenging for you being a female entrepreneur?
I think for me, because I started the business here in London, it's a bit more gender balanced country. So my challenges have been a bit more to do with ageism. People taking you seriously because too young, and especially when you're dealing with such a old school traditional industry like property and finance and lending. I think that's the most of the challenges were there. So in terms of being female, of course, I think you have to be smart about it. You have to maybe work extra hard so you've been taken seriously. But most of my challenges has been more to do with me being young. Yeah.
So when you walk into these meetings and you get featured as the youngest person in the 21st century, what are the kind of comments that are being shared about you?
So initially when I'm not just that, the fact that I started when I was 22,
Yes.
I'm also an expat. I was just right out of uni, like no industry experience. So one of my initial challenges was to raise the first two rounds of equity funding. That's when, it was the hardest to convince people just to bet on me because it's a kind of business where you need a lot of capital upfront.
Yes.
And first two rounds of funding, it's basically I'm convincing people to bet on me and my vision, without any setup, without any, having a large team or industry knowledge. So taking that kind of a leap, on me, like betting on me as an entrepreneur. So that was definitely one of the early challenges. But I think every time I found that, when I'm in the room with investors or, potential customer, once you start talking and they can see that, okay, I know what I'm talking about, and then it kind of turns into respect, within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So I think, if you know your subject very well and if you're able to communicate and deliver it confidently, the tables turn around pretty soon.
Wow. She said it so beautifully. The tables turn around within 10 to 15 minutes if you know your subject very well and if you know to communicate very well. And those are the things and the confidence that you carry with you, right, Arya?
Absolutely. I think, when the odds are against you, okay, when I knew when I had this idea, it's an extremely ambitious project, who starts a lending platform, in a foreign country, in a property development industry where the average loan size is 500,000 and above. So it's extremely capital intensive business. It's a marketplace platform, one of the toughest business model, and it's a fintech online platform as well. So there's tech involved, there's compliance, there's heavy capital involved in the business, but also on the product itself, given the size of the loan. So you have to be confident. You when the odds are against you, you have to work harder. You have to prove yourself initially a lot more.
Yes. Thank you for that. And going further, you mentioned about Future Breaks, which is your entrepreneurial venture. Now, how did this idea emerge to you?
Yeah. So, like I said, I came to London 9 years ago. I came to do my undergrad from UCL. I did urban planning and real estate, and then I was interning at a small house builder. And my job was to go look for sites, make sure there's planning, and we would find a lot of sites, but he couldn't get funding for those projects, and this happened quite a lot. And it kind of like bothered me if the projects are actually good and viable and the financially they stack up, why there isn't a financial system or institution in place which is able to back property development projects of up to 5 million. And the more then I got really obsessed with the problem, the more I dig deeper, I realize it's a massive problem in the UK. Small and medium sized house builders don't get access to mainstream finance, especially after 2008 financial crisis, and no differences in the political system. And just despite having an asset backed collateral, it was still not bought. So it really puzzled me. And on the other side, as an individual consumer, because that's what FutureBricks does. FutureBricks is a lending platform for house builder looking for funding. At the same time, it's a platform where individual investors can invest in these asset-backed projects. So I spotted the problem from one side for SME house builder. Then I also spotted the problem from the other side. Being a consumer in this country, I know if I put my money in the bank, it wasn't giving me enough interest. It's not like in India where you can
Yes.
get an interest just by putting in FD. Here it's like 0%, 0.1% max per annum. So that also obviously, I saw gap in the market there as well, and decided to start FutureBricks. So that's how the idea of FutureBricks was born.
Wow. So it is about finding solutions to problems of two different sectors and putting them together face to face and telling them that this is where you meet and this is going to be my contribution in making sure that this is win-win for both the sectors.
That's right. I think for me that's what entrepreneurship was all about, is finding a solution to the problem and doing it better perhaps than already existing players.
Fantastic. Great. Now, we just want to know a little more about your venture, Future Bricks. How long has it been up and running, and where are you based? And also the size of your team, if you can share with the viewers.
So I started the business almost about like in 2016, and we went live as a platform, as a lending platform in 2018. The team size is up to 16 people now. We have raised more than one million pound in equity capital, with which we've got to this point in terms of building the technology, getting the platform up and running. And we have around 1,000 active lender base on our platform. We have funded more than 15 projects, and our loan book currently is like 2.8 million pound, and we've given 4 successful exits. And yeah, this is where we are with FutureBricks. It's been 5 years, and it's been just amazing journey.
Wow.
And we're growing, and we are growing very rapidly. So that's great.
That looks like a dream story, right? You have got 15 projects and you have given successful exits to the investors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's something which any entrepreneurial journey would like to have as their dream story. Now, going further, uh, can you share the kind of challenges that you have in your journey?
Yeah, I think one of the key challenges, as I mentioned, was raising the first 2 rounds of equity capital. Because I was a single founder, and like I said, young, just out of uni, and trying to build this business which was capital intensive. I needed to raise external capital from day one just to get the platform and regulatory side up and running in order to trade. So I think the first 2 rounds were difficult because you have nothing to show, right? It's just you and an idea, a piece of idea on the paper, and a very intensive idea, where you need a lot of capital just to even start trading and get up and running. So meeting lots of people, I must have met, and not knowing anyone, right? So, if I was back home, it would have been maybe slightly different convincing people, like, you're meeting them, while talking to them, understanding about the industry, at the same time you're pitching it to them, and kind of convincing them to come bet on you at such an early stage, at a pre-seed stage. So those were, I think, definitely challenging. You hear a lot of no's. You're working very hard initially, and but then I would say in these times, you just got to keep sailing. Because if you meet 100 people, maybe 5 will decide to bet on you, and that's how the journey started. So 1 million pound that I have raised, in different sets of rounds. So after the first round, it definitely gets easier, because then you're building on that. With the first round, then you're building technology, then you have that to show. Then the second round, you're getting a regulatory license in place. Then by third time, you have projects. So this is on the equity side, the challenges initially. And of course, when you launch the platform, finding projects, I think being a marketplace platform like, Uber, where you have drivers or riders, or Ola, you have to manage both sides of the customer. So we have borrowers and we have lenders, and we have to constantly manage the both, because you can't have too much capital to deploy and no projects, and you can't have too many projects and no capital to deploy, or little capital to deploy. So constantly managing that as a marketplace platform is also another challenge. Yeah.
Wow. So that's a brilliant approach, in spite of having so many no's, in spite of knowing that she is presenting it as a very young person in a new country. The 3 elements that we talk about in the 20s, grit, hard work, and smart thinking, has been visible in the kind of approach that you have made. And Arya, that is one reason we are so proud to have you as part of the 20s. Thank you. So going forward, a lot of teenagers who aspire to do what you have achieved. So we know that you are just in the start of your journey and you have many more decades to go. So right now, those who are in school, if you have to share 3 key ideas, thought process that they should have in them for them to aspire and achieve the kind of success you have had in your journey, what will be those 3 things?
I think number one is determination, because the path of entrepreneurship is difficult, it's full of challenges, but it's also exciting, because if you're a problem solver, you'll be solving a lot of problems at times. And it's an adventurous journey, but it requires a lot of determination, especially in the first years, because now the business is established. We have a track record. We have a loyal customer base. We have loan book. We have exits. So we've completed different cycles. So now obviously it becomes now the challenge is about growth. Now it's not the challenges about the survival or proving your business model. So at every stage you'll have different challenges, and every stage is also a beautiful stage, and because you learn from it. And I think growth only happens out of comfort zone. So my first advice is, determination, belief in yourself. Initially, you need a lot of belief in yourself, because you hear a lot of other stuff, and just go for it. See every obstacle as an adventure and a chance to grow, because like I said, entrepreneurship is all about solving different kinds of problems. But you got to love what you do, because it's not a straightforward path.
Beautiful. So it's about determination, it's about loving what you do, and go ahead with the challenges. Go ahead with the no's. So how there are viewers whose parents are not entrepreneurs themselves, and there is a huge fear, and everybody would like to, recommend their children taking up a very safe 9 to 5 job and getting a particular salary. So how different is an entrepreneurial journey for a parent who's not an entrepreneur themselves? So how would you encourage them?
Right. I think if you love what you do, I think, then there's no need to then give a label that, I'm an entrepreneur or this is about entrepreneurship, because you're just doing what you love. And no matter what obstacles are coming, you're solving it day by day, you're taking a day at a time. So I think if you just follow what you love, and there's no need to classify this as entrepreneurship, because you're literally just following your dream. And in any profession, I think there are challenges. But if you're not doing what you do, because if you think about it, like 60% of your life you spend working. If you're like, let's say if you're here 9 to 6, you spend that time working. But if you're not enjoying what you do, you're kind of throwing away your life. You're wasting a life that you're supposed to be living. So my advice is just encourage your children to, follow the path, even if they don't know, they have not taken, understand the concerns. But each on his own. Like once you're independent adult, I think you should just let them fly, be there for them, support them. You need a lot of support and pep talk, because, like I said, it's not a straightforward journey. So I don't want to give a picture saying that it's all easy and you can do it and all of that. No, there will be challenges. You do need to be tough, and you need to be persistent, and you need to find your way through all the juggles. You might need to pivot your model, but like I said, if you just love what you do, it will not matter. You'll be so absorbed in it that you feel like, okay, what, this is my chosen path, and I'm going to keep going.
Wow. Arya, you appear to be a very polished person who is very, humble and soft-spoken. Now, but this particular industry is looked at as an industry full of aggression.
Yeah.
Right? So how would you, share your journey of being aggressive in this industry?
Yeah. I think knowing your subject very well, and if you know what you're talking about, and if you know this is what I want, and I will get that delivered no matter what, then nothing really stands in the way. So it's more of that determination that matter than I may come across, like you said, but inside I have a lot of fire. I'm full of determination. So if it's something that I've decided, and this is something we need to get done, we need to get done. And then discovering different parts.
You always try to address things. It's not always supposed to go your way, and that's why what we try to see is
Wow. One last question in this section. Is it easier to achieve what you have achieved because you are in London and not in India?
So in terms of, I think, like I would have a different business model, maybe not the same, but I would still be an entrepreneur regardless of my geographical location. But having said that, I do, I am aware that some of the issues in India it's to do with more petty issues, more bureaucratic issues, and sometimes that can be really tough to get through that. But then if you look at new India, new economy, and with this huge tech economy and e-commerce booming, so I mean there's a huge market out there. Now you're seeing all the big players coming in, like Facebook, buying Geo and all of that. This, and like all these OTT platforms, like India is just exploding right now.
Yes.
So there's opportunity everywhere. Everyone has their own struggle and journey. And as long as that entrepreneurial spirit is there, it doesn't matter of the geographical location, because in London, yes, maybe it's more, I don't have to deal with a lot of petty issues or bureaucratic issues, but hey, I didn't know anyone, I didn't even know how the industry operated. I had to start everything from scratch. Then, then there's the issue of, how do you visa and, immigration, and all of these other challenges are there. Everything is, obviously I'm living in central London, so all of that, then access to right capital and so on, regulatory hurdles, and all of that is there. So everyone's journey is different, and both countries have their own plus and minus points.
Brilliant response, Arya. And just one thought struck me, and I would like to share with you. It will be very, very interesting to have a conversation with your father and you seated beside each other and sharing your entrepreneurial journey. Wouldn't that be more interesting to know the kind of situations that he had and how he handled it, and the situations that you had and how you handled it? Yeah, that will be something. Yeah.
Definitely. I think I will definitely win. Just because, like the kind of different person we are, and he came from very.
She said, baby, I'm afraid to fall in love.
I
This time still playing.
studying London and all the best top five universities, UCL. So of course I just saw that recent movie, 2G generation, 3G generation.
Yes.
So if it's 2G, I'm 3G. So of course there is a level of sophistication. There is way of doing things differently.
This is my recital.
Like
I think it's very vital to rock
around.
That's right, on top.
So,
Here we go.
it's very interesting to know because different circumstances, different times, and like I said, the access to education that he had and what I had. So, we would of course react very differently.
There are going to be so many things which are going to be different, right from geography to the
That's what
kind of
entrepreneurship was all about, is finding a
business.
solution to
And
the problem
but there's going to
and
be
doing
one
it better,
common
perhaps,
thread
than all
between
the
the two
existing
of you
players.
is the kind of courage and determination and the kind of vision both of
Where
you
you
look
can,
forward
get
to and
an
made a
interest
difference
just by putting in
in
effort.
the lives of
Your
your own families
about
and
your
the
venture,
people
Future
who
Bricks?
have been benefiting out of your journeys.
Wow.
No, definitely. I think for me, it was because a single founder, and like I said, young, because that's sort of like, that as a marketplace, you can really make something real. What is in your head?
Kind of.
Even my journey, when I look back, like 4 years ago, it was just an idea, and the fact that universities, my ICL. So of course, I am business, and now I just saw that recent movie, London, where I'm saving people, I'm giving jobs and immigration access to definitely. I think I will definitely win. It's nice just because like the kind of different person we are, and he came from very.
She said, baby, I'm afraid to fall in love. This time still playing.
Picked up few questions and they would like to ask you. So
Universities,
this is coming from a
So, of
kid in
course,
St.
I am
Anthony's Public School in Kerala.
I just saw that recent
Fatima, she
movie,
asks, smart
2G
thinker
generation,
or
3G
hard
generation.
worker?
So if,
Who will you
if it's
prefer to
2G
be
and 3G, so of
at
course
your
there is a level of
at your
sophistication.
workplace and why?
There is way of doing things. Definitely depends on the role.
I think
But
it's
very
very
good question.
vital
First
to
of all,
rock around. That's right, on top.
Here we go. Because different circumstances, we are retail lending team where you talk to people a lot, and like a customer facing role. So I would definitely want education hard work that we had and what I had. We have an underwriting of course where we have to analyze a lot of loan inquiries that come through. So I would definitely want a smart
many
thinker
things
there.
which are going to be different right from geography. So it
That's
is
what
about being
entrepreneurship is all about.
very
It's finding a
clear
solution.
about
But there's going to be
picking
one
up
better,
the roles
perhaps.
depending upon the situation.
Yeah, depends on the role. If the
Depends.
role requires you to be hard worker, then I'll pick it first of all.
Rock around. That's right, on top.
And this comes from a school
Uh,
in Delhi, it's a Cambridge school. And the question is, the biggest challenge faced by you at Future Breaks and the strategy you applied to tackle it.
Yeah. As I mentioned it before as well, I think, initial round of raising equity for the business, and then, managing both the sides of the platform, the demand and the supply, being a marketplace platform, Future Bricks being a marketplace platform. So I think the strategy that I applied for the first challenge was just keep going, initial days and meet a lot of people, because success is about probability. If you're meeting only 10 people and expecting someone out of those 10 people to write you a check, that's
Shift in the
very
mindsets of children.
that's being
And
like
this
unrealistically optimistic.
in those
But if you
questions as well.
just increase that pool and let's say making 100 people, so we can have that one of them will write you a check. So let's increase the probability of your success. It's going to be a constant strategy. First for the first challenge. Depends on the role. Challenge in terms of managing both demand and supply. I think that's going to be a constant thing, to be honest, because there are times where we have a lot of capital and no projects and or less project and information comes back. The capital that we need to deploy is increasing the probability. At times we can have a project, so it depends on that he had and less capital, so project. So of course it's going to be a constant pull and push, and that's
there are
something
going to be
we just have
many
to
things
figure
which
it
are going
out on the way.
Okay, great. The next question comes from a school in your city, the Trinity International School, Pune. The question is very pertinent to the current pandemic. This kid is asking, due to pandemic, there is a slump in the market globally. How did you tackle it
Of
at
course, it's
Future?
going to be a constant pull and push.
so,
And that's
touch
really
wood,
fortunately, we have not experienced any slump. In
Okay,
fact,
great.
opposite of
The
that,
next
because
question comes
our
a
lender
school
base,
in your
investor
city,
base
which is
was
taking
anyways
international
those who
school.
had disposable income.
Okay.
So now, in fact, they're
The
looking
question
to
is
deploy their
very
capital to do
pertinent to the
something
current
that's much more
pandemic.
secure and safe,
This
because
kid is
other
asking,
investment
due to
options have
pandemic, there is a
risen,
slump in the
like stocks
market
and shares are
globally.
not volatile.
How did you tackle it
extremely,
at
it's
Future?
going to be they're not secure. So, but in fact, we are receiving a lot of lending demand. So our lending factor plays a role in that sense. And in terms of the deal flow or the borrowing, they're always slower. Now, in fact, it's the challenges that comes with making sure that secure and safe. Quality deals are being processed and approved. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. The last question is from a student from Delhi Public School, Hyderabad. It's a lengthy question. I'll read out pandemic for you. The question is, our roof is a dream to many. Humble gesture of gratitude to you for providing this. So first, they're thanking you for this venture. Second, the question is, could you please share with our viewers about the funding process for your project, which you have already shared? And the second question which you can answer is, why did you opt for equity as source and not debt as a strong?
Okay. First of all, good questions,
You
and
can
thank
fix
you for that
stuff
little
or break
compliment
stuff via
in
coding.
those
Coding is
questions
just
as
great.
well.
After Harvey.
So in terms of, I'll share
Thank
this
you
in
for
a
this
short how
venture.
basically us as
Second, the question is,
we
could
are
you
a team
please
of
share
underwriting
with our
team,
viewers
and they
about
are
the funding process for your project, which you have already shared? And the second question which you can answer is, why did you opt for equity as
then we
source
work with,
and
we have different valuers on our panel, we have solicitors, so all this data and information comes back. It's an extremely thorough process. We receive around maybe 100 inquiries a month, and probably 5 of them actually go through our stringent lending criteria and all the different steps and procedures of underwriting and due diligence. So that's how the underwriting and due diligence process work. Second question, that why did I opt for equity as a source and not debt? Just to be clear on that point, so the projects on our platform, it's all debt based, and the equity is only being raised for the business itself, for the operations, and to get it up and running initially. So and the reason for choosing equity is because this kind of business, you need to raise external capital on day one, and whereas debt requires to either have a collateral or some sort of revenues. So it doesn't match. So that's why you need to raise equity when you have idea, and you need to raise external capital on day one, and that's the reason for equity. But for project, it's all debt. Yeah, so it's two different products.
thank you. Hope that answers the question of this kid. We come to the third round. Now you get to ask a question.
Okay, great. So I've recently read about your national award in education, and what is it, and how has that impacted your life?
Okay, fine. This particular award, the national award you're referring to, must be the one where this was about 4 years ago. In 2017, I received it, and it has transformed my life because this award was for the process that we follow in managing a school. So right from the entrance of the school to the culture to the way things happen. So it's more for the process and how we build humanistic approach to education. So coming to the point, yes, this was the largest award that our country has, and of course the prize money was also really huge. For any educational award, it was about 10 lakh rupees then in 2017. And the way it has transformed is it has brought a lot of responsibility in my life, because the awards are, the journey is the one which gets you the award. You don't take up a journey to receive an award. So the journey had been such that everywhere that I went, I contributed towards the humanistic education. So after receiving the award, I got a moment to sit back and think, how am I going to give back to the society? The kind of money that has come into my life through this award and the kind of recognition this has given to me. So both responsibilities had to be delivered. That is when I took up my first project, that is Art to Connect, where we try to bring in a reverse approach into the mindsets of children. We touch base with about 100 children in 103 schools and 300 special needs children. They interacted in singing, dancing, creating music, and they connected with each other. That brought a lot of paradigm shift in the mindsets of children. And the second project that I have taken up is the 20's. And on a lighter note, I can share with you that my kids at home, they often ask me, you are so engaged with all these projects, and you're all the time busy with that. And they of course have discussion in terms of revenue, and there is no revenue coming back. So I know what youngsters think, that for anything they do, there has to be a revenue coming back. But according to me, when you are passionate, like you rightly said, when you're passionate about doing something, this particular award has, enhanced that passion in me to give back to society. So that is what I can share about how this award has made a difference in my life.
That's amazing, and it's so inspiring because like when you talked about giving back to society, and how you're not just limiting that to yourself, and it's just so beautiful because I'm sure that I'm watching you, other people, and they feel really inspired, and that's something I want to do as well. Give back because it's important. It's so important, especially in our country, and especially given the times.
Absolutely. And you are just starting your journey. You have so many decades to go and so much more to contribute to society. And the very fact that we were very, very choosy in making sure that we pick up individuals in the 20's who can inspire millions of people who are based across India, millions of children in the schools and across the world. So thank you so much for this. We come to the final round, that is the rapid fire round. Are you ready for this?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay. Quickly, you will be answering these. So, if not businesswoman, what would you have been?
I would like work. This is I would basically, if I wasn't a businesswoman or entrepreneur, I would probably work for Raw or something.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Great. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of Bollywood fan are you?
Oh my God, 10 on 10, absolutely. Especially like with last few years, the kind of content that's out there, it's just amazing. Like, I am a big fan of watching content, whether it's movies or, online, and on top of everything. I just think it's exploding, and it's the best time for artists and creators right now in India.
Mm-hmm.
And if opportunities are there with OTT platforms. And yeah, just big fan. And actually, in fact, I would love to, produce a good content one day.
So all those guys who want to produce a good film can reach out to Arya. So Arya, would you like to share how they can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email address is arya@futurebricks.com, arya@futurebricks.com. So yeah, feel free to reach out, ask any questions. Happy to help.
Thank you so much for this. Yeah, a tough one. What's your take on marriage?
Ooh, interesting. I think it's like, first of all, I think you have to be ready mentally. My advice is don't do it because of the peer pressure. Let it be even your own family, because it's an important decision. You're gonna spend the rest of your life with that one person. So take your time. Some people are ready at 24, some people are ready at 35. There's no right and wrong. And I would just say, just do it when you're ready, and don't come under any peer pressure or any age pressure or any, family pressure. Yeah. So just do it when you're ready.
Perfectly. Fine. Thank you. What is it that you do when you're not working? Your hobbies other than watching Bollywood movies?
Yeah, well, other than watching content. So I love to like just exercise. So I run every day, or I have my just sessions, PT sessions. So I would love to do that. I love to meet my friends and have a like relaxing time, because being an entrepreneur and be responsible every day for so many people, and managing business can be exhausting. So kind of switching off and just meeting with your friends. And third thing I love to do is traveling, and living in London and having access to different European countries is something I do a lot. I just fly on a weekend, or a long holiday, and that's something I love. I get my inspiration from there as well. So those three things I love doing.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And one moment when you felt you are too stressed and cannot take any more, and then how did you come out of
Usually it depends. Like if I'm too stressed at night, I'll just sleep, and next day I'm like completely fine.
that?
And obviously, I think managing stress and anxiety is quite important, and is actually quite a serious topic. And being an entrepreneur, you are faced with unknown. There's a lot of unknown every day. So, and especially in this fast, we are from this generation where we press a button and everything is instant. So we think success should be instant. My effort should have a direct correlation with some sort of a reward or gratification. So I think managing stress and anxiety is important. I think keeping perspective, meditation, mindfulness, super important, and keep moving your body. Exercise is very important, and seek help when you need to. There are hard days, of course, but if you feel that it's going down a different route, feel free to ask for help. Definitely take anxiety. It's about managing anxiety and
Yes.
stress, and to take those things seriously as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mental health as important as physical well-being.
Mental health also. The importance of mental health is what we've been all discussing for a long time. Thank
Especially
you.
for entrepreneurs, yeah.
Yes. The last one, Arya, a compliment your customers gave and you cherish the most.
So now I've built a team. So, they're kind of complementing my team, or, my customer facing team. And of course, it's so nice to hear that. There are a lot of testimonies with saying, they love the customer service, they love the timely interest that we paid, they love the exits that we're doing, the kind of projects we're offering, the kind of due diligence we do. So it's nice to echo that. But I think the biggest compliment is not the words; it's just the fact that they're coming and they want to keep investing and investing. Because that's, for me, it's like a biggest compliment, because we know we have the right product out there, because people are keep coming and keep reinvesting again and again. Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's very rewarding. That's me. It just gives a lot of satisfaction that we are on the right track, and we have created a marketplace where there's actually demand and supply.
Amazing. Your journey has been so inspiring, and it also, gives us a very strong message that it's all about being firm from within. The within is more important, is what emerges out of your journey, Arya. So thank you so much for being with us on this show and this whole journey of the 20s. Wishing you and Future Breaks and your beautiful team that you just shared about a wonderful, wonderful journey from here on. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and it's absolutely my honor and pleasure to be here. And I'm very happy to hear your story as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Arya. So dear viewers, here we are towards the end of another beautiful journey that the 20s has shared with you. We had Arya Taware, a girl from a small town who's been inspired by her father and goes on to become an entrepreneur herself, breaking many closed mindsets of being a successful entrepreneur at such a young age. Yes, we have got our children getting inspired by her story, and we will look forward to having your children becoming a part of 20s going forward, and wishing you all the very best as you raise your children and they get to share their stories and give a new definition to success with their own lives. Signing off for now, this is Dr. Nirmala Krishnan on behalf of Education News Network, presented by Education Today. Stay home, stay safe.